Hello friends, today we are going to continue chapter number 8, Framing of Constitutions and its Features, lecture number 10. Friends, up to now, in this chapter we have discussed about the meaning of constitution, why this constitution is necessary for us. In the meaning of constitution we discussed that the collection of rules to govern any country is known as the constitution of that particular country. The collection of rules. Here the constitution guides the government to administer or to run the country. The foundation of that country is totally based on the constitution. Friends, when we discussed about the constitution, we were discussing about the constitution of India. We discussed that the Indian constitution is a live document. Changes are possible in Indian constitution. It is not that our constitution is rigid or permanent. We can make changes as per the aspiration, wishes and the expectations of the people. And that is why our constitution is considered as the live document. Indian constitution is considered as one of the largest written constitution of the world. Friends, after that we also discussed about the framing of constitution. That how our constitution came into force, how our constitution was framed. In that we discussed that the Britishers had sent the cabinet mission to India to discuss about the independence of India. And as per their report, as per the report of cabinet mission, they suggested to frame a constituent assembly so that our constitution can be made. And as per the recommendation of this constituent assembly, as per the recommendation of this cabinet mission, Constituent Assembly was formed. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was made the president of this Constituent Assembly. Many well-known leaders, they gave their efforts in framing our constitution. Very well-known peoples like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, Krishna Swami here, lots of females also like Sarojini Naidu, Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, they all also gave their contribution in framing our constitution. Friends, we discussed that this Constituent Assembly, to frame our constitution, they made a drafting committee under the chairmanship of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. People from different geographical diversities, different areas, different experts from areas, different castes, different religion, different creeds, all the people became a part of this drafting committee. They met for 166 days in a period of 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to frame our constitution. At last, on 26 January 1950, our constitution came into force. The constitution was implemented on us. India became republic, and since that day, every year 26 January 1950 is celebrated as Republic Day. Friends, after that, we also discussed about the preamble. Preamble is the introduction part of the constitution. It shows us about the aims and objectives of the constitution. Preamble guides about each and every aspects of constitution. If there is any misinterpretation in the constitution, preamble works as a compass to show the direction about the aims and objectives of the constitution. Preamble is like the soul of the constitution. up to 1976. No amendments were made in it. But after that, some words like secular, socialist, unity in diversity were added. After that, we also discussed about democratic country, that what is democratic country, in which we clearly discussed about the democratic country. Democracy means, it is a Greek word, it came from a Greek word. Demos means people and kratos means power. Means in a democratic country, the ultimate power lies in the hand of the people. Here the people elects their leader of the country. They are given equal right to cast their vote without any discrimination. Even the person, if the person is constitutionally eligible, that person can contest the election without any discrimination. Equal rights, each and every people are considered equal in the eye of law. That is the power of democracy. We also discussed about the socialist country, in which we discussed that each and every people are given equal right in socially, economically, politically. Justice is given equally to each and everyone. We also discussed about the secular country, in which we discussed that India cannot be considered a country of any one particular religion. No decision or no judgment can be given on the basis of religion in our country. Each and every person, if the person belongs to any religion, is considered as one citizen, that is Indian. He is not discriminated on the basis of religion. That is the main objective of secular country. Friends, we also discussed about the basic features of constitution, in which we discussed about some of the basic features in our previous lectures, like the written document. Our constitution is the written document, like the other nations except the Britain and Israel. We discussed about the size of the constitution, that our constitution is a written document, in which we discussed about each and everything, that what is the size of the constitution. 395 articles are there with 9 appendices, which is now 12. We also discussed about the single citizenship. In our country, each and every person who has taken birth in India is given the single citizenship. Like America, here the person does not possess dual citizen. In India, we have only one citizen, one nationality, that is India. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the basic feature, that is the structure of federal structure. Friend, in which we discussed that in India we have two sets of government, state government and central government. Though there is no word like federal in the Constitution of India, but still we have some elements of this federal government in it. As you can see, in our country we have two sets of government, state government and central government. But still our country is made of the union of states. No state can claim as not the part of the union. So here obviously the state government are free to take the decisions as per their own wish, but as per the guidelines of the union government. Friends, let us move forward towards understanding some more basic features today, starting with unified arrangement during crisis. Unified arrangement during crisis. Friends, let us understand unified arrangement during crisis. Unified arrangement during crisis. Let us move towards understanding one more basic feature of the Constitution, that is unified arrangement during crisis. At the time of crisis, we are all unified, and the unified all together arrangement is made. As you all know, although India is a union of states, as we all know, friends, we discussed in the previous lecture that although India is a union of states, at the time of emergency, time of crisis, or we can say that is emergency, at the time of emergency, although India is a union of states, at the time of crisis, that is we can say emergencies, India is almost, if we talk about India at the time of crisis, emergencies, India is almost turned into unitary system. Friends, as we all know that in the previous lecture we discussed that India is the union of states, and though we are having the union of states, at the time of crisis, at the time of any emergency in our country, we all became united, and that is why almost India is turned into unitary system at the time of emergency. At the time when there is any kind of emergency, all the country, all the states get together. So this is the main thing. Then when we talk about at the time of emergency, at such times, if we talk about the union means the central government, that is the central government, that is the central government takes more power in its hands. Central government takes more power in its hand to deal with national emergencies, to deal with national emergencies. Friends, here it is said that at the time, such time when there is any national emergencies, or we can say crisis, at such time the union government has more power than the state government. The union government, that is the central government, takes the majority of power in its own hand. As friends, let me give you a best example. As you all know that during this COVID-19 situation, when you see that there is one kind of emergency, disaster emergency, right? Here when we see that such kind of problem is created all over the world, at that time when the situation was there, the central government or Prime Minister kept the situation and announced lockdown in the country, due to which each and every state had to follow that and had to pass through the lockdown process. That was the order. That power was in the hand of the central government. At that time, the state cannot deny that we will not follow the instruction of the central government. And that is why here it is said, at the time of such kind of emergencies or crises, the central government has more power in its hand compared to the state government. It has more power. If we talk about the Indian government, the Indian government, or we can say government, or let us consider the constitution. Indian government, or we can say constitution, has divided its crisis, into three types of emergencies. They have divided, our Indian constitution has divided the crisis into three types of emergencies. Let us understand which are these three types of emergencies. They are: first, national emergency. First is the national emergency. Second is failure of constitutional emergency. And if you talk about the third one, first was national emergency, second was failure of constitutional emergency, and the third is financial emergency. And the third is financial emergency. So our Indian constitution has divided the crisis into three emergencies: national emergencies, failure of constitutional emergencies, and third is financial emergency. Friends, we'll discuss about all these three emergencies in detail now. So let us move towards understanding the first one, that is national emergency. Friends, let us understand the first emergency, that is national emergency. When is this national emergency implemented? Here it is said, a country can declare the national emergency, that a country can declare the national emergency at the time of war, external attack, at the time of war, external attacks, or armed rebellion in the country. Friends, here the information is given about the national emergency. When this national emergency can be declared, this national emergency, okay, let me give you one more instruction over here. These emergency are already mentioned in the constitution, that during crisis, three types of emergencies are there: national emergency, failure of constitutional emergency, and third was financial emergency. These emergency can only be declared by the president of our country, friends. So when does our president declare this emergency? National emergency can be declared at the time of war. If our country is doing war with any other country, at that time the president can declare national emergency. At the time of war, at the time of external attack, right? If someone from the other outside of the country, if someone has attacked on us, at that time government can put this national emergency. And third is armed rebellion. If some person has started opposing with the help of weapons, armed rebellion is started in our country, then if there is huge loss of life in the country, at that time the the president can declare this national emergency. Let us move towards understanding the second emergency, that is failure of constitutional emergency. Failure of constitutional emergency. Here it is said, this refers to constitutional breakdown. This refers to constitutional breakdown in case when law and order, here it is at the time when law and order breaks down in some states. If law and order breakdowns in some state, it is called the emergency. It is called the emergency arising due to the failure of constitution. Friends, the second emergency, that is the failure of constitutional emergency. Here, when we are talking about the failure of constitutional emergency, it is said this refers to constitutional breakdown when law and order is not maintained in any state. For example, as we learned that in every state there is state government, right? If there is any kind of problem, if law and order is not maintained in any particular state, and if that state government is not able to control and not able to put his law and order into control, then at that time the central government, the president, can put the constitutional emergency in there. When at that time, when the president puts constitutional emergency, at that time the governor rule or the president rule comes in that particular state. Here at that time the rule is taken from the state government and the rule directly comes in the hands of union government. So if the state government control the law and order in any particular state, then if the crime ratio is increased, if they are not able to control the law and order, then the president puts this constitutional emergency in any particular state. Now let us understand about the third emergency, that is financial emergency. Now the third emergency, that is financial emergency. When does this financial emergency has been put by the government? When prices increases, when prices increases in the country, it leads to the, when prices increases, it leads to the erosion of monetary value of the country. At that time, the monetary value of our country is decreased. Under such situation, financial emergency is declared. At the time when our country, when prices increases in the country, when monetary value is totally eroding, when we are not able to control the price rise, the government is failing to control the price rise, they are increasing more than the expectation. Under such situation, when the country is having any financial problems, when country is not able to recover the financial debt, at that time this financial emergency is declared. As I said, these emergencies can be declared. These emergencies can be declared only by the President of the country. As I said in prior, that these three emergencies can only be declared by the President of that particular country. So friends, as we discussed today, we understood about the basic feature, that is unified arrangement during crisis. At the time when we are having crisis, our constitution has made very nice arrangement. At that time of crisis, our constitution has declared three type of emergencies: national emergencies, failure of constitutional emergencies, and third is financial emergency. So friends, you might have understood about the three emergencies. We'll learn about the another basic feature in our next lecture. Thank you.